If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that sub button for more amazing content. Now, let's jump straight into the video. What's good, YouTube, and welcome back to the Bofina1 podcast with your host, Bofina1, and we are on episode 6. Let's keep it going. Let's keep that consistency in the building. Let's go. All right, so this is like the 4th of July weekend. Either this might be uploaded on the 4th of July, or this might be uploaded after the 4th of July. This podcast also today may be a little short just because a little busy, so we'll see if we get it to like 20 to 30 minutes like we usually do. But without further ado, please hit that like button if you enjoy this video / podcast, subscribe, comment, share, and watch it all the way through, because watch time is really important right now within the algorithm. So I need that watch time, and the impressions on all my videos are actually doing really great. YouTube is really pushing this podcast out, so the more you guys watch it, the more you guys like, share, and subscribe, the better. We're getting a good amount of views. Like I said, I only got 6 subscribers, and most of my videos have gotten like close to 10 plus views. So 10 times however many minutes, if they're 20 minutes, that's pretty good. So like I said, appreciate you guys' support, but let's jump straight into it. So this podcast is going to be a little bit different. I had a little bit different of like topics I wanted to talk about. The first one being the struggles of trying to be an entrepreneur, right? So, that's the biggest thing now. Ever since I feel like the pandemic started, everyone's like, oh, you need to become an entrepreneur. You need to do this, you need to do that, because a lot of people did get fired during COVID. And with us possibly going into another recession, there is a good possibility that might happen again. I mean, I don't wish that obviously on people. You don't wish bad luck on people, but I'm also not naive to the reality of the state of where the economy is possibly going. And so I wanted to talk about some of the struggles of an entrepreneur, because I've been on YouTube now for like 6-7 years or so. I've been making videos. I've been, I would say, pretty consistent. Like, I have over 1,000 videos on my main channel. I have quite a few like streams. I used to stream on Twitch. I mean, like, I've done it all. I've done vlogs, reactions, everything. And I kind of want to just shine some light on some of the struggles of being an entrepreneur, because I feel like a lot of people tend to think that, oh, you're doing what you love, so it's easy. But that's not necessarily the case. Just because you're doing what you like, or you're doing something that you enjoy, doesn't make it easy, because you have to remember that regardless what you're doing, you're not the only person that's done it. Like, it's like anything. Like on YouTube, whatever idea 9 out of 10 you have, somebody else has probably already had it, and someone else has probably already posted on it on YouTube or whatever the case is. So it's not like it's just you doing the only thing. Which struggling with that is because there's so much competition, right? Like YouTube wants you to upload every day, multiple times a week. You have to also try to promote your stuff outside. You got to try to make good thumbnails. You have to try to promote your stuff on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You have to try to tell your family, friends. Like, you really have to try to get your stuff out there. And yet again, like I said, you're not the only one that is trying to do that thing. So some of the struggles of being an entrepreneur is obviously like having equipment. Like, I remember when I first started in college, I wasn't really working, so I didn't really have a lot of money to necessarily buy a whole bunch of equipment. And I couldn't necessarily ask my parents, like, hey, can you go buy me a $300, $400, $500 camera? Because, they were trying to help me get through school and yada, yada, yada. So certain things like editing software, having ads run. Some people pay for ads like on Facebook. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that comes with like having a YouTube channel or just any type of platform. Same thing with Twitch, right? Because these platforms, what a lot of people would say is that, which is true, they're overly saturated. There's a big amount of people that are on them. So the competition, like a lot of people say, is really at an all-time high. So like I said, you're not the only one that's posting that content. So you have to, in a sense, try to do what it is that you love and also stand out. And then the biggest thing, like what I've learned is a brand, like thinking of a brand that will get people to want to watch your content, as well as maybe if you want to have brands and ads and stuff, having a brand is a big deal when it comes to this. So those are some of the struggles of just trying to be an entrepreneur, and also burnout. Burnout is a big thing. Like, I mean, I experienced that a lot, like with YouTube, because a lot of time, I used to post and I didn't really get a lot of views, and I'm still not at a point where I want to be, but you have to keep pushing, you have to keep posting, you have to keep going. And that burns you out after a while too, because you're trying to post 3, 4, 5 times a week and you're not getting views, or some videos are getting views and others don't. The other thing that's a struggle I feel like with entrepreneurship is a lot of time people don't believe in you. There's a lot of people that don't believe in like YouTube or starting your own business. A lot of people don't really don't believe in that. It's almost as if it's a joke. I feel like it to a lot of people. They feel like, you need to get you a job. And there is some truth to that. I do believe that people do need to get a job. You do need to have you do need to have some type of income in order to be able to fund your passion, your dream. The whole thing of like, yeah, we're just going to go all in. I mean, that maybe works for some people. Like, I feel like people that maybe got famous when they were younger, like maybe they were in college or school before they got into like the real workforce. Yes, that works. But for most people that, are 18 and older, or at least out of college, they got to go get a real job. They actually have to go work somewhere because you're going to need money to be able to fund. Like me, I used money from my job to be able to have fund cameras, microphones, to be able to have funded, things like editing software that I pay for, TubeBuddy, thumbnail stuff. All that stuff costs money. It's not free. So like how people say you gotta spend money to make money, that's exactly what they're talking about. You have to spend money in order to make money. And I think a lot of people get that misconception that, you don't have to, it's all for free. And sometimes it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. With YouTube now and a lot of platforms, you can actually do a lot of things on your phone. And that's what I've gotten better at. And it saved me a lot of time that stuff like my thumbnails now. I don't pay for Photoshop because I can make just as good of a thumbnails, maybe not even better, on my phone using PixArt or Fonto. So why am I going to pay all this extra money when I can use something, you know what I'm saying, that either is free or it's costing me way less money. So, those are just some of the struggles that I feel like that I've come across, especially with entrepreneurship, trying to start something and trying to be successful. Because another thing is that just because you start something or you have a following doesn't mean that it's big enough where you can, in a sense, leave your job, leave your full-time gig and move on to something else. Those are two different things. Which kind of leads into my next topic is, what does it take to really be successful? And I believe when people say that you have to want it as bad as you breathe, that's true. You do. You have to want it as bad as you're breathing. You have to want to get up to make content. Like I have to get up in the morning and, I record videos, or I stay up late and record videos, edit them after work. I try to do this as much as I possibly can without obviously burning myself out. But if you think about it, most people, when you hear about them, that's in a sense what they do. They do burn themselves out. They put in a lot of work in the beginning, and, it's like the fruits of their labor. It's almost like, for me, I guess you say, like with school, right? Like I went to college and I came out having this pretty big job. I had to work a lot of hours in college. I didn't really enjoy my time in college. I didn't really get a chance to do a lot of stuff that a lot of other college students did, like, going to parties and staying out and hanging out. No, I had to sacrifice a lot of my weekends being in the library, studying most of the time. And my excitement might have been going out to grab something to eat, or maybe catching a movie. While a lot of other college students, they were able to be involved more in different clubs, different things like that. So that has a lot to do with, I feel like it's how bad you want it too, and also doing stuff, I feel like it because you like it, right? Like I genuinely like making videos and I genuinely like editing them, uploading them, etc. I think a lot of people in this world got into YouTube and they just get into things because they see that you are able to make money from it, not because they genuinely like doing it. And see, that has a lot to do with, I feel like, how bad you want something and how long you'll continue to do it, how long you'll continue to perform. Because if you genuinely don't have a passion for something, like I said, as many videos as I've posted, as long as I've been going along with this thing, I should have been quit. I should have been stopped doing YouTube, right? So it has a lot to do with how bad I feel like you really want. And also research. Like a lot of stuff as I've gotten older and making more money, being able to afford things, but also researching things, that's the biggest thing. I feel like before you start a YouTube channel, you really need to look at, how much do you have to research, what it is that you need to know in order to be successful on that platform, what it is that people are doing, and how can you do those things and maybe be even better at them, but at the same time, working smarter, not harder. I feel like before I used to work a lot harder. I used to over edit. I used to try to spend so much time on thumbnails. And thumbnails are a big thing, but there are other things like the title. There's other things like the tags, the description, where are you posting these videos at? There's a lot of other things that go into, as what they call search traffic, getting to your video. So it's a lot of different avenues or things that go into it. The next thing, I guess you said that kind of goes into being successful that I wanted to talk about. I guess it's kind of random. I don't know. I just been thinking a lot about like financial literacy. And financial literacy is like understanding, how does money work? How does money flow? How do people make money? Because another thing is like, I feel like everybody wants to be TikTok famous. Everybody wants to be Instagram famous, right? But nobody wants to talk about like, there's other ways that you can make money, such as investments. Like me, I have a 401k, I have a Roth IRA, I have a savings account, I invest into crypto, I invest into ETFs, I invest into REITs, NFTs. I'm trying to at some point be able to get some type of like real estate property so I can have another form of cash flow. I've even thought about starting up like a vending machine business, having different forms of cash flow, meaning money that works for you while you're sleeping. You don't have to work. I've even gotten to things like node projects and a lot of other stuff. So financial literacy is like understanding that just because you put your money in the bank, that may not, and it's in your savings account, doesn't necessarily mean that that's like the best thing. Like there's so many other ways that you can make money, and there's so many people out here that are making money in ways that maybe you wouldn't even think that you would be making them, and these people are making a lot of money. They may not necessarily be famous. I feel like a lot of people will be very surprised to find out that a lot of the money that people make like on YouTube and TikTok and Twitch and all that stuff, they have to have a lot of views. And a lot of like your favorite YouTubers, they don't really make money off of YouTube. They make a lot of their money off of like, sponsors and ads and brand deals. That's where they make a lot of their money. And then they go use that money and they invest it into other stuff. I mean, look at like the Paul brothers, or look at anybody that you see that's like big on YouTube. They branch off into other things because YouTube is like where they started, right? That's how they got their notoriety, their maybe their first big, but then they went off and said, okay, I'm going to use this money to start a clothing line, or I'm going to use this fame and start doing boxing. I'm going to use this and move on to other things. That's how you build empires. Look at a lot of these like celebrities like LeBron James, Jay-Z, they own, or they have sponsorships or brand deals, they have other things that are going for them because it makes them more money. That's another form of investment. So try to find ways, I feel like, that you're able to invest or have your money work for you in other ways, just besides, it's like anything, never put all your eggs in one basket. And it's very true. And that's how I feel, especially now with the way the economy is and how these jobs are so, I feel like it cutthroat. You need to have different streams of income. You can't just rely on one stream of income, because if that one stream of income goes down, then you're screwed. So it's always a good idea to try to diversify your income as much as you can. And I know some people may say, well, I don't have the money to do that. I can't afford to do that. So what are you talking about? Well, then you need to make more money. You need to figure out the skills that you need to get in order to make extra money so you can invest into them other streams of income. Maybe that means you got to pick up a second job. It may suck, but you'll be thanking yourself later. Maybe you need to go back to school to take that course, to get that certification. And that might be something that you have to do too. It's all about, like I always say to people, like, and I'm like an advocate of that, I've seen my life change. I feel like it has a lot to do with how bad do you want something. A lot of people say they want stuff, but a lot of people really don't want to put in the work that it takes to really get those things, to be able to get to that next level. It's hard work. So like going out with your homies, doing certain things, that stuff, you have to give that up. You can't be at the bar and the club every weekend and expect to make it in life and be this big thing. You got to lock in and work. You got to work hard. Like it's and like another thing too is, with financial literacy too, is like a lot of these people, like the Warren Buffetts and they didn't become rich overnight. I mean, they were investing for a very long time. It's all about a marathon, not a race. And I think that's something that a lot of people, they get misconstrued, or it's a misconception. Like it's not a race, it's a marathon. You have to take your time. You have to give yourself time to learn. And I get it, because like when you're in the mud and you going through it and you're like, man, this sucks. I'm trying to change my life. I don't want to be bothered with this. It sucks. You're like, I need to change now, but it's better for you to develop, those necessary skills that you need to do it right. So when you make that money and you have other opportunities that come your way, you know what it is that you need to do. But enough about that. The last topic that I want to talk about that I saw that was pretty interesting was Delta Airlines offered $10,000 to passengers willing to give up their seat on overbooked domestic flights. So pretty much that means is that, they overbooked, meaning that like you booked a seat, but then they also allowed for somebody else to book that same exact seat. So they were giving people $10,000 to be able to give up their seat. And so that kind of goes to show you, like, these airlines are so desperate that they allowed for people to essentially, they allow for people to double book a seat. And then it's stupid because it's like, okay, yeah, you overbook, but depending on how many you overbook, like, now you giving up more money for somebody to take this. Like, if that was me, if somebody told me, like, oh yeah, we're gonna give you 10 racks, 10 bands, you know, so you can give up the seat, I would take it, because the flight, I didn't pay $10,000 for the flight. I probably didn't even pay $10,000 for the trip. So I'm gonna take that money, take half of that, pay off some debt or pay off whatever it is I need to pay off, and then use the other half and pay for the trip, and maybe even get a nicer trip, you know? And so they're blaming it on, like, not having enough staffing. But it's like, y'all know y'all didn't have enough staffing. Y'all just saw it's the holiday weekend, and y'all saw it's summertime, so we trying to get a whole bunch of money and we gonna overbook, hoping that, you know, in a sense, they were hoping that someone would cancel. That's really what it was too. Like, it's the same thing like when you go to like a beauty shop or whatever, and somebody like overbooks. Essentially, that's what that is. They're hoping that, like, or they think that other people will cancel. So they were overbooking in hopes that people would cancel. So then, you know, their seats, maybe they may have maybe one or two like issues, but it wouldn't have been a big thing. But little did they know, a lot of folks been locked up. A lot of folks are desperate to get out, and not everybody is broke. Like, a lot of people have money saved up from the pandemic. This is some people's first summer that maybe they popping out. They trying to go somewhere. So, like, that's also very disappointing from somebody, like, especially like me. Like I told you on previous podcasts, you know, I plan to go to Disney World in September. So that would be really disappointing if I went on a flight and then found out that flight, I had to give up my seat. I mean, even though, yeah, the $10,000 would be nice, but it's the concept that, you know, I booked time with my job, and y'all are telling me that I can't take the flight, and I done booked everything around. And at the same time, if, you know, you might be someone that's flying in the same day to your hotel, and because Delta decided to overbook your flight, now you might have a hard time trying to cancel, you know? So now they might get sued. Like, it's a whole ordeal. I think that they also just didn't take into consideration and just didn't think about, and they were really just thinking about money. And in the end, now that they're giving people $10,000, y'all losing money. Now you got to fly. Now you got to have, because you still got people that don't care. Now you got to have more flights, and now you got to have now you got to pay all these people all this money, and then you still short of work. You still short of people. So then you still trying to hire people. So I don't know. Maybe you're gonna have to give people more money to be able to work your job. You know, I don't know what it is that they need to do, but I just thought that was really interesting, especially right now. I get it. People are short, but like, y'all coming out of more money by giving people $10,000 to give up their seat that you guys overbooked. That doesn't make any sense. That's just crazy. But yeah, guys, I think that those are the 4 topics. Like I said, this is a little bit of a shorter podcast. I didn't want to go too long with it. As you guys know, this is the holiday weekend. So if you guys are out, I don't know if this video will be posted on the 4th of July or over the weekend. Could be a little bit after, but enjoy your holiday weekend. Stay safe. Don't do nothing crazy. And I appreciate, like I said, I really appreciate you guys watching and tuning into my podcast. Like I said, these videos are really going up. I mean, they are really, like, in terms of views, probably not so much more as like my main channel, but in terms of watch time. And we all know right now with YouTube, watch time is like the number one thing. So my watch time is literally going through the roof. And that's why I want to start making these podcasts a little bit longer, because, the longer you make them, the more likely you'll have people that watch them longer, which, raises your watch time, which yet again gives people, it pushes your videos out, and with me getting like 300, 400, 500 impressions, that's a big deal. Regardless if people are not necessarily clicking on them, it's the concept of YouTube is pushing them out, because the people that are watching them longer. So as I keep posting, that's why I'm trying to post every single week, the views will grow, and which I'm starting to see they are growing, because the watch time is growing. My monthly watch time is getting bigger. Everything is growing. It's all a process. And I'm really happy that I decided to continue back and get back into this podcast, because I just feel like it fits me. I like to discuss things. I like to talk about stuff. And it's nice because it's a free form. I don't have to really think super hard. I don't have to try to edit and critique. I could just kind of just write down some topics and talk about it. And that's why I really enjoy doing podcasts. The other thing is, like I said, I do plan to maybe have a few guests or a few people on here, because I do think having people on here will potentially allow for me to make the podcast longer. Because like I said, when you're talking by yourself, and obviously, like, I'm a little rusty, but like when you're talking by yourself, it is kind of hard sometimes to get your podcast to go all the way to like an hour or 30 minutes, because because you'd have to either have more topics to talk about, or sometimes, like I said, some people, they'll have other people on their show to, in a sense, help make their podcast a little bit longer. So we'll kind of see as time goes on. I might start doing more topics, like maybe instead of doing 4 or 5, maybe do like 7 or 8, so the flow will go a little bit longer. But like I said, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. As always, if you enjoyed the podcast, please hit that thumbs up button. Comment, share, and subscribe, and hit the post notification bell, and watch all the way through. Watch it. Well, really listen to it. It's a video, but really it's a podcast. So you guys really don't have to really watch the video. You can have it playing in the background while you're doing your chores or while you're doing something else. But nonetheless, I love you guys. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll chat with you later. Peace.